You're listening to Inside Content, the TV industry podcast. This show is brought to you by 3Vision, a global TV industry consultancy specialising in content acquisition, strategy, research, and business development. Each episode, we give you VIP access to the views and experiences of senior TV executives and discuss the latest TV industry trends and insights.
Hello and welcome to Inside Content. I am Hayley Bull, VP at 3Vision, and today I'm joined by Cristina Sala, Country Lead for Samsung TV Plus in Italy. In this episode, we explore how Samsung TV Plus is positioning itself in Italy's highly competitive fast landscape, why curation is becoming more important than aggregation, and how partnerships with broadcasters like Rai are shaping the service. We also discuss the role of AI in localization and what Cristina is looking for from distributors and what's next for the platform. Enjoy.
Introducing Video Markets Tracker from 3Vision, your go-to source for global TV data. We offer regularly updated regional and global reports covering pay TV, SVOD, AVOD, and FAST across Africa, MENA, the Americas, Europe, and Asia Pacific. Make smarter decisions with insights you can trust. Learn more at 3vision.tv. Now, on to the episode.
Cristina, welcome to Inside Content. Thank you very much for being on with us. We are very excited to indulge ourselves in all things Samsung TV Plus in Italy. Perhaps we could start by you introducing yourself and your role at Samsung TV.
Sure. So I'm Cristina. I'm based in the Samsung Electronics Italy office in Milan. And I've started working for Samsung 6 years ago in January 2020. So it's been, it's just feels like yesterday, right? But when I started, there were about, I believe, 10 channels in total. And at the moment, we have on the Italian service, 177 channels.
And can you talk about how the service is positioned in Italy? It's obviously a free TV service. How does it sit competitively in the market?
So first of all, the most important thing is that you have to have strong content, right? So the focus is really on quality of the content and on the variety of the content. And so we have, big, also like very strong rebroadcast content. Like, for example, we closed, Rai, which is, the public broadcaster, the Italian public broadcaster, which is the equivalent of a BBC. So we have a rebroadcast of Rai News, which is the equivalent of a BBC News in Italy. And we're also having, we launched last week with Rai a single IP channel, fiction, which is branded Rai Fiction, and the single IP is called Un Medico in Famiglia, and it's basically like the single IP, like very strong one, like let's say in the UK, like EastEnders, let's put it this way, like the equivalent of that. So the focus is A, quality, and B, local, iconic content, and there is strong content. And of course, we also have a rebroadcast of 8 Discovery free-to-air channels, right? Like Nove, D-Max, Real Time, Giallo, Turbo, Discovery, and yes, so this is another partnership. And the third one, very strong one, is La Sette, which is like it's a commercial broadcast, Italian one. And they do mainly also news and politics, right? It's a bit like it's a bit like BBC Question Time, right? So Italian love, politics, and of course we love sports. So we have a very strong collaboration with Sport Italia. So Sport Italia is also a free-to-air broadcaster, and they basically have likes football games like the Africa Cup of Nations, right? Rights, and also like Campionato Primavera, which is like the Italian league of for football league for younger generation. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
And of course, with our single IPs work extremely well. Like for example, Sony's Vita da Strega, which is Bewitched, right? So international single IPs also work really well, very iconic. And I mean, to be honest, also like our film section is very strong. I think it's one of the strongest one in Europe. We have 41 film channels in Italy. So a lot of film channels, but we've managed to kind of stand out because we have, for example, sort of like let's call them pop-up channels, right? Like for example, on Totò, which was an actor, very famous actor in Italy, or Marcello Mastroianni and Sofia Loren. We did a pop-up channel, so we're also looking at what is really, of that year we're doing a plan, and what are, for example, particular marketing events, for example. And then, of course, I mean, not mentioning not only the film channels, which are particularly strong, but of course also the documentary section, which we started to kind of iron out. And one of the very strong documentary channels we launched last year, it was Seconda Guerra Mondiale, like the Second World War channel. And the Second World War channel is basically in collaboration with IX Media and Spiegel TV, Spiegel TV, Spiegel from Germany, and it was
Yeah.
basically all documentaries on Second World War, which has never been broadcasted in Italy. So very interesting one. It performed extremely well because, of course, like there was a lot of things that have never been showing here, and of course, 80 years from Second World War, and they have amazing documentaries, and also some in, for example, Second World War in colors, right? And the interesting part was that with that, like the original versions were in German, and IX Media did a voiceover in Italian with AI. So there was like a very interesting and very successful actually outcome, because it was a lot of work really on the post-production, right?
Yeah.
But like until last year, I think AI like dubbing was not like perceived um, as but it was good quality, right? And with
Yeah.
this channel, we really actually showed that AI voiceover is possible, and with good content, of course, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about localization, actually. So it's fantastic that you came up with the case study of the German channel. Is localization now essential when you are looking at making decisions on what comes on the platform in Italy?
So basically, I mean, I would say unfortunately, yes. So unfortunately,
Yeah.
yes, localization is still very important. But as I said, with documentaries, documentary channels, or factual entertainment, really, voiceover is more than enough, and it's really like the post production, which is important. I mean, with subtitles, I mean, like for example with sports, with live sports, Italians do accept it, right? Do accept subtitles, and also they do accept it, for example, in news, right? But I think apart
Mm.
from that, that with regards to fiction, like movies or fiction series, it's more complex. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But I believe maybe like a next step would be, for example, just to like an English language film channel, for example. Why not, right? Because I
Yeah.
actually saw that on Rai has also launched like they have a strand with original English content, right? And
Mm.
so it could be like something to explore. For example, like if we don't have a particular genre in the film, I think that could be explored. For example, but of course, the localization for big theatrical titles is important to us. Yes.
Yeah, well, it sounds like there's certainly a role for AI to be able to support that development. So it's good that there are kind of key movements in that technology advances that are able to support the fast ecosystem. So that's one to watch. You mentioned in your overview, Christina, of the proposition that you have, the Discovery Warner Brother channels. I remember the announcement. I think it was the end of 2023,
Yes.
and it was quite a big noise in the industry, if I remember, because these were kind of big free-to-air channels in the Italian market that were coming on to kind of a new free TV streaming platform. Do you see that as a trend that's going to continue? I mean, you mentioned that you're working with kind of Rye and other suppliers, but has it been a successful partnership for you? And do you see more of that trend in Italy and perhaps other markets? Obviously, each market has its own dynamics, but certainly in Italy.
But I think, yes, I think, in my opinion, I mean, fast will be and will continue to be like with some rebroadcast channels, but not
Mm.
only, right? I think it is not only just saying, oh, we're just going to be redoing like free HBB TV. That's not the point, right? The point is to have the best of the best. So
Yeah.
I believe it's like, as I said, we just launched, the Rai Un Medico in Famiglia single IP. So there is more space, to launch, single IPs, to launch documentary channels, specific topics. We launched also, of course, BBC Earth, which is doing extremely well. We launched Mr. Bean, so
Hmm.
international, IPs, right? And of course, we have also like the Sony movie channels like action. We also have some Sony series channels that do well. So it's really will be a combination, I believe, of rebroadcasting, yes, but also like of quality
Yeah.
content that is coming, from international and also from national. It's kind of like reinventing a little bit the quality and extracting the best of the best. Because of course, if you're looking HBB TV in Italy, we have 800 channels. So would you say,
Yeah.
why are you launching more free-to-air channels? Well, because on those 800 channels, there are also like a lot of channels that are basically selling mattresses and having like, very weird people that, are on TV, and they're
Yeah.
trying to sell you like some, cards, so it's, do you want to watch that? I don't know, right? I want to watch like
Yeah.
quality content. So it's kind of gonna be like, I really don't know where HBB TV is going, which is gonna be like, it's everything is in there. There's no kind of
Mm.
filter, right? But we're a filter. We have a product team in London, and they look really through if like the content is suitable,
Right.
for the Samsung brand, right? For our values, and of course, if it's quality content, right? And if it makes
Mm.
sense, like marketing wise, to launch a new channel, right? We just don't launch any channels because that is not, the main strategy. It's not just launching any channels which are on HBB TV in Italy on like Samsung TV
Yeah.
Plus. We just want to have the
Yeah.
best of the best, really. And because I think that also for a viewer, it's overwhelming, like the content that you have, the content that you want to have like a selection, a proposition, and you don't have to look through like massive and massive amount of search functions to just look at what is actually available, right? So it's actually also make it easier to the viewer what they're actually, watching, and propose to the viewer what is the best at that moment in time, right? So we can
Hmm.
propose, the content as well. So it's make it easier to the viewer.
Yeah. And so we've seen in other Samsung markets that you have been creating your own channels. These are known as owned and operated channels. Do you have those in Italy? And can you talk about those and how they were kind of put together, and how they're working, and if you see a place to make more of those?
Sure. So in Italy, we just did one O&O with Baywatch, with Fremantle,
Yeah.
like on a pan-European basis. And I
Yeah.
believe that our strategy would be to in the very near future to have another one like in Italy, another O&O. And I think possibly we will start with another, single IP, like easy to watch, easy to schedule, and successful. Right, so we're looking for like easy TV, easy watch like series, that is known in the Italian market, basically. Yeah, with a dub.
Great. Yes, 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 of course. I wanted to talk to you a bit about what's working on the platform. You gave a good overview of the different types of genres that you had on the platform, everything from kind of films to sports to kind of some of the local broadcasts with news channels. I saw a press release from Samsung at the beginning of this year, which said you've now reached kind of across Samsung TV Plus. I think it was 100 million monthly active users. So congratulations. And it
Thank
said
you.
that sports had been a driver for that. Some of the live events, like the kind of Jonas Brother concerts. Is it sports and live that's working that you think is pushing that engagement, or kind of there are other genres as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, sports and life is always a good match. I was telling about Sport Italia and the Africa Cup of Nation, like the also Campionato Primavera, but also like, we just launched Super Tennis in Italy, and we're going to have like the Davis Cup live, right? Super Tennis is also like a free-to-air broadcaster, right? But of course, it's live tennis is very important. Like at the moment, there's something very interesting happening in Italy with tennis, the tennis miracle, I would say. That it's kind of starting to kind of be followed more than or as much as football, which is like outspoken, outrageous
Yeah.
for Italy, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a proper cultural revolution, what like a single person like Sinner can do, right, to a nation, to a sport. Um, so for us, of course, tennis is now becoming more important. So we just launched Super Tennis last week. So we're looking to see how the Davis Cup is going to perform. I believe very well. It's both things that you would have never thought like a year ago, right? And that can work, right? Because it was kind of tennis was at least not like number one priority radar, I believe, on many broadcasters, at least here in Italy, right? Um,
Hmm.
so that is one, and of course, what's generally working for us is, of course, soap operas,
Right.
Turkish soaps, right? So I believe it's Turkish soap opera is an interesting one because I think they're working extremely well in in Italy and of course also in Spain, right? Also in prime time on Brit Broadcaster. So we launched two soap channels. One is Soap Latino and like Soap Turco, like Turkish soap from Fast Channels Network. And basically how we're doing it is like we're scheduling single IPs, right? Um, in the channel.
Right.
Not when it's not like a mixture in the channel of many soaps, but it would be like one soap at the time,
Yep.
right? And that is proven to be successful. So not like a mixture of series, but one series in particular into like a container of a channel. So even though normally like serialized shows like don't work on free to air, I think soap operas which have like an underlying closed-ended apps, I think that's doing well in Italy. In the Italian market, love soaps and especially Turkish soaps. So I think we want to do definitely more of those, and of course like Latin American soaps, and of
Yep.
course like even try even like English speaking soaps see how that
Yeah.
differs, you know, how that would work. So it's an interesting one, like the soap easy watch television, right?
Yeah.
And that seems to work well. And of course, we have pop-up channels that we were launching. For example, for Christmas, we launched Cine Natale from Minerva. Minerva is like a big theatrical distributor in Italy, and we have 6 film channels with them. So we launched the Christmas channel, Cine Natale, and now it's going to be like Cine Amore, which is like love channel, right, for Valentine, right? So
Yeah.
thematic pop-up channels always very important. I always look, what is like in the market with regards to the marketing events. So we're trying to always tie them in, right? And
Hmm.
you can actually see that it makes a lot of sense for the viewership to have, specific um, themed topics in the channels, basically. And
Yeah.
and of course, I was mentioning, for example, also the channels on Totò and on Alberto Sordi, right? So yeah, basically annual planning and marketing has to be tied into launching channels, really.
Yeah, I imagine you get approached by a large number of channels and distributors all the time. What gets you excited? What developments would you like to see in the fast channel space? Or if someone was going to pitch to you, what would kind of get your interest? We've talked a bit about soaps and sports because they resonate. Obviously, channels tied to particular calendar events that would be appropriate. But is there anything that kind of you specifically would like to see from the market?
I think, from the market, I think it's I mean, we're kind of coming to a point where I'm always stressing this, but it's like the content we have is there, right? Because we have
Mm,
175 channels, 177 with quality content, but it's basically to shout about the content, right? So what I would
mm,
like, from the distributors is to actually have a real plan on and focus on the programming and on the local markets, right? Because in order to be successful to launch the channels, you really have to know the local market habits,
right.
right? So it's almost like, you know, it's not about really only about having an IP, right? But it's
Mm,
just like, when are you launching this IP? Why are you launching this IP? What local events can it be tied in, So I think it's
yeah,
almost like having a local strategy, right? For the
yeah,
content. This is what I would like to see, from distributors, like some planning, some specific also knowledge, a little bit of individual markets, right? Because it's not just launching a channel, a factual
yeah,
channel. It doesn't
yeah,
work like that, right? Um, so it takes time, it takes work, it takes dedication, right? And that is what I would like to see, that like really from content distributors, just not assembling a channel. Now we're really like fine tuning, and of
yeah.
course, we are also looking into content creator space, of course. So
Right.
content
Yeah,
creator for us is an important one, like looking at the US. So we're looking to launch also content creators in Italy. And I think that space is also like it's going to be a very interesting one for sure. Content creators, and of course, live concerts, live events. That is an important one for
yeah,
sure.
fantastic. Yeah, well, those should be some good tips for distributors that are listening to this episode as to what you're looking for. What's next in the platform for you, Christina? What's your focus? You mentioned potentially another owned and operated channel. Looking at some creator led.
Yeah, so we're launching on the 11th of Feb. We're launching a channel which is called Beauty Channel, like the Surgeon Touch, right?
Okay.
And actually, I saw, funny enough, there's a series from FX on beauty, right? So I said, how funny is that, right? Um, but I really didn't know, really. It was like, but it's kind of like, It's a reality program where uh, like women and men go to the surgeon and they want to have like their best outlook. And
Yeah.
so that's going to be a very interesting one on, I think, beauty is definitely one where people are investing more and more money, in every country really, and how not to look old, right, nowadays. So that is
Yeah.
definitely a kind of a new genres where we're testing out reality, like
Yeah.
beauty reality, right?
Yeah. 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 That's really interesting. And I guess a an idea that's related to beauty is kind of shoppable as well. Have you seen anything in that area? I think I read something that kind of live stream commercial is going to be worth something like $1 trillion. I mean, it's huge.
Yes, I think it's going to be, I think the space we're in now, it's going to be very
Mhm.
interesting between like kind of content creators, beauties, for example, an example.
Mm.
But I believe there's many kind of other areas, that you could tap into it. I think now the technology is going to be easier, to launch a channel. I mean, now it's mainly for distributors, but who knows?
Yeah.
Like maybe, in the near future we could have, maybe even like even if we said like content, even single content creators could are doing that. So it's an area to discover for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Really interesting. Um, Christina, it's been wonderful to chat with you today, and learn so much around what you're doing in Italy with Samsung. Last question to finish on. What are you watching at the moment? And it doesn't have to be a channel on Samsung TV Plus.
No, actually, I am, because it's like, first of all, I was watching, of course, Rai News this morning, because of the Olympics, and I'm in Milan, right?
Yes. Oh,
And
brilliant. Fantastic. Yeah, we've just
and
started our sweepstake at work, actually.
And so tomorrow, as it's gonna be the start of the Olympics. So we're still in Italy, and we're still disorganized. So they just announced like last week that the schools were closed, right? Hello. So it
Okay.
was just like, I think would have been a total outrage in the UK just 1 week before, telling like parents that the children had to stay at home. So I
My
think,
goodness.
yeah, exactly. Like, I think the government would have fell for something like that, but no, here was like, actually, your children have to stay at home on Friday. Okay.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, so tomorrow the children are staying at home, and we just, so it's good that we have like the news on, so we know what is actually happening, because, it's going to be a lot of people here. It's going to be great. It's, the city is completely buzzing, right? But I think, they're still doing things the last minute, like closing the schools.
Yeah, that gives me slight anxiety.
Complete anxiety. Don't tell me. So yes,
Oh,
but it's going to be great. It's going to be a great event. So we really look forward to that. Yeah.
yeah, we're looking forward to it as well. Fantastic. Well, pleasure to have you on. I hope you come back and talk to us again soon. And good luck with the Olympics. Good luck with the service. And thank you for coming on Inside Content.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. Talk soon. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Inside Content, the TV industry podcast brought to you by 3Vision. With decades of TV industry experience and real-world success, we know the ins and outs of the market like nobody else. To learn more about our TV consultancy services, head to 3vision.tv.